Okay, we've already installed the basics of run fits, but before we officially install our first cover one call, we need to go over the basic cover one coverage techniques or tools. The first basic cover one technique we're covering is called catch technique. It's when I'm lined up 4 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage and the man I'm covering is on or off the line of scrimmage as opposed to in the backfield. It's called catch technique because in the first few yards of his route, I'm catching him, not necessarily attacking him, running at him. There's a separate technique, the next one, that we're going to cover after catch technique for that. Man coverage is about leverage. Similar to angles, leverage is about owning a side of the receiver. If I have inside leverage, I shade his inside shoulder, and I do not allow him to run inside of me. And if I have outside leverage, I shade his outside shoulder, and I do not allow him to run outside of me. My leverage depends on where my help is. If my help is the sideline to the outside, then I want to play with inside leverage. And if, say, my help is an inside linebacker, then I want to play with outside leverage and force him inside. Regardless of if I have inside or outside leverage, in this picture right now I have outside leverage, but if my leverage is attacked, I close the door. What does that mean? If my leverage is attacked, if the receiver runs in the direction of my leverage, he's threatening my leverage, then I close the door, meaning I want to shut the door on him. I get positive in that direction to maintain my leverage and be physical. So it's really the one situation where I'm not catching the receiver. I'm closing the door. I get hands on him and I want collision. I want to reroute him in this example where I have outside leverage. Sometimes the receiver will have a must outside released rule on his route. Well, essentially, I have a he must inside release rule as I cover him. So I'm overly aggressive when he threatens my leverage and I attack his outside shoulder to maintain outside leverage. If he wants to release outside of me, he's going to have to run all the way to the sideline to do it, which at that point, I could play with inside leverage. When the receiver runs away from my leverage, I slide the door. What does that mean? If the receiver runs in the opposite direction of my leverage, he's running toward my help. So I then slide the door. I simply get lateral in that direction to maintain my leverage. The collision does not happen until the receiver gets vertical toward me. If he's going to run toward my help, I let him. Art of war. When your enemy is making a mistake, do not interrupt him. So when the receiver is making a mistake and running towards my help, I do not interrupt him. I slide laterally to stay with him, but I do not get positive like I do when I close the door. When I am vertically threatened, I open the door. What does that mean? If the receiver runs straight at me vertically, I have to be ready to turn and run with him. So I open the door. This does not mean I just ole and let him run right by me. I want to collide and redirect him on his route, but I want to be ready to turn and run with him. I open the door for him to run vertically, and as I open the door, I'm ready to run with him. Anytime I am in closing space with the receiver, regardless of my leverage, I collide and redirect my man. I never want it to be easy for the receiver. Route running is all about timing. Anytime I can disrupt the receiver's timing, that's an advantage. So anytime, especially when my lateral or vertical leverage is threatened, I must collide and redirect. And then I track his hip once I trail him. And the key to covering a man is match and mirror him. Key his hips. He can't go anywhere without his hips. We saw the bird's eye view, now to the field view. Who cares where the ball is? We're just going to say our help is to the right, so we're playing with left leverage in these examples. When my leverage is attacked, I close the door. Get positive. Okay? When the receiver runs toward my help, opposite of my leverage, I slide the door. Okay? And when he runs straight at me, threatening me vertically, I get hands on and open the door, ready to run with him. Again, though I don't want to just get out of the way. That's not what open the door means. I want to collision and redirect, reroute before I open the door and run with him. Once I'm running with him, I'm tracking his hip as I trail him. And remember, it's all about mirroring and matching his hips. Okay, so that was catch technique. Now we're introducing hug technique, which is used when covering a back from the backfield. I must close space. I don't catch him. I don't wait for him. Think about that. I'm 5 yards off the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, and he is 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, at least on the offensive side. So I don't want to slide. I can't utilize catch technique with someone 10 yards minimum away from me. I must go meet him at the line of scrimmage, or as close to it as possible, just like our two best buddies right here that go meet each other halfway. That back gets to the line of scrimmage, and then he can make a move. I need to meet him there. I do not want to wait for him to make his move. I do that the same way that I close space on a ball carrier when I have a square view. I short stride press the line of scrimmage to close space. And I want to collide the back. Get hands on him. Do not make it easy for him to run his route. And of course, I still need to maintain my leverage. Okay, as the back approaches the line of scrimmage, and I utilize my hug technique, if the back stays in pass protection, I then add onto the pass rush. I add on the same way I execute hug technique by closing space with the back. I do not just blindly rush the quarterback. I add onto the back and ensure that I first take away a possible screen or check down. Only once I'm adding onto the back and approach him, but he's already engaged with another pass blocker, legitimately trying to block him, then I can go past him and rush the quarterback. But when in doubt, literally go hug the back when he's in pass protection, preventing him from leaking out as a check down option for the quarterback. That is adding on. Stacked receivers are when two receivers are within 1 yard of each other, one on the line of scrimmage and the other off. The corner aligns at the point, and the nickel aligns off. When we play lock, the corner locks onto the point receiver, and the nickel plays the off receiver. Okay, and when we play halo, the corner gets hands on the point but ends up covering the off receiver, and the nickel plays the point receiver. So we've covered some of the basics of the man-to-man aspect of cover one. Now we're going to cover the basics of the post-safety part of it. How does the middle of the field safety execute his responsibilities in cover one? Well, first and foremost, nothing gets behind me. Nothing. Deeper the deepest. I stay deeper than every receiver at all times. And laterally, I am at minimum responsible for what happens deep between the hashes. The farther back, the more I should be able to cover, because the longer the ball is in the air for me to close space. And as I backpedal, I see the quarterback's shoulders and eyes. I'm reading and weaving with the quarterback, while I peripherally see the routes develop. So for example, as the receivers, say, turn a 2x2 formation into a 3x1 post snap from the routes, I can weave and lean towards the strength of their route concept. Okay, now we're discussing thieves, rats, and robbers. In man-free defense, there is a thief, rat, or a robber. The thief, rat, or robber is just additional inside help, or a whole defender. Okay? When that additional help is a lineman, we call him a thief. Okay? So let's say the dime is blitzing and the Mike in safety man the tight end and back. That means the end is the thief. Okay? Now, when a linebacker is that additional hole defender, he is called a rat. So we're saying that the Mike and safety are manning the back and tight end, and we're saying that the end is rushing. That would mean that the dime is left to be the rat. Okay, and then when a safety is the additional help, he is called a robber. So we're saying the Mike and dime are manning the back and tight end, and the end is rushing. That means that the safety is the robber, when the safety is the additional low hole help. When I am a low hole player, whether it's a thief, rat, or robber, we'll say a rat in this case. We'll say the call is +1 rat. I do not need to drop so quickly. I'm there to collect a low crosser and essentially switch with a teammate. We call it cutting. When you're the rat and you switch with the teammate, picking up his route, so let's say it's +1 rat, the safety covers the tight end, and the other linebacker to the running back side covers the back. That leaves the dime to be the rat. Okay, so if there is no crossing route, then there is no cut. Everyone stays on their man, and the dime drops to the low hole. But let's say the tight end runs shallow. The dime then cuts him, and then the safety becomes the new rat. So as the rat, I either cut or hole. Either I cut a tight end and 1 rat, or I drop into the low hole. In a sense, it's kind of like switching on a pick in basketball. If I'm the safety, I'm covering my man, the tight end, and if he runs shallow, the rat says cut, 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 and covers him, and then now I become the rat. And from the rat's perspective, I'm the rat, I'm the low hole player, I keep my head on a swivel. If the tight end enters my area, I cut him and cover him, and the guy who was originally covering him replaces me as the rat. As the rat, keep your head on a swivel. You cannot stare down the quarterback and simultaneously see a crosser. And if there is no crosser, then you drop into the low hole, and there is no rush to get to the low hole drop. Communication is key. If you do cut a route, you yell, cut, 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 so your teammate knows that you're picking up his man, and now he becomes the rat. Man defenders stay in man until the cut and collect. Okay, what we have here by the Chiefs is actually a 5-man pressure. These 5 are pressuring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this linebacker who ends up pressuring actually is not pressuring. He's just adding on. He is covering the back. And since the back stays in pass protection, he adds on. So it feels like a 6-man pressure when it's really a 5-man pressure. But when you watch him, he's not going for the quarterback. He's going to his man. He's adding on to his man. He is meeting him halfway. In fact, he's actually meeting him even farther. It's a perfect add-on. You have a lock technique up here. Corners at the point, takes the point man. The nickel takes the off man. This is closing the door by the safety, covering this slot. The safety has inside leverage. The receiver threatens his leverage, so he meets him there. He's a little out of control, but that's the point. He closes the door when his leverage is threatened. Then you see up top, that nickel covering the off receiver ends up sliding the door because he has inside leverage. So his leverage isn't threatened. Now it's McCaffrey, so a great route runner, makes a good move. So he's got to stay a little more patient, but you can see he doesn't gain ground because his leverage is not being threatened, so he slides the door. Okay, they're in 1 rat here. So this safety is rotating down on the tight end, covering the tight end. The dime here is covering the back, and the back goes out now, so the dime takes him. The Mike is the rat. So the Mike is eyeing the tight end, sees that he doesn't come shallow quick, so he becomes the hole player. He's additional help. He's that inside presence, that low hole player. Watch it from the end zone view. See how he looks over to the tight end, nothing coming shallow. So he looks at the quarterback, sees the quarterback, look to the field, so he becomes that additional presence. Incompletion. Watch the man covering the back. He's gaining a little bit of ground, meeting him close to the line of scrimmage. His leverage isn't threatened, so he kind of slides the door. And he stays patient. He keeps his leverage. It's a great job of covering McCaffrey there. He starts with inside leverage. He ends with inside leverage. Can't complain there. Okay, this is zone coverage. This is cover 3 here, but it's great post-safety play. Very similar in cover 1, cover 3, not many differences. Watch Rod, the safety here, how much ground he covers. He's the post-safety, and since it's a deep pass, he's able to track the ball all the way from sideline to sideline, making the play damn near at the pylon. Tremendous post-safety play there.